Hello, my name is Kevin Chung. I'm Associate Professor in the School of Mathematics and Statistics. So today we are going to have a Q&A, and before that, we'll take a look at the programs that are most common in the School of Mathematics and Statistics. So on the screen, you will see the Mathematics B-Math Honors. It's one of the most popular programs at Carleton in math, and as you will see, the first 2 years have a number of courses that are required. So in the first year, you have 2 courses in calculus, 2 courses in linear algebra, a course in introduction to logical reasoning. And in second year, again, you have a 1.0 credit calculus course, which spans 2 terms. Same thing for algebra. And in addition, you have to take a probability course, statistics, as well as a differential equation. And the rest will be electives. Now, switching over to the statistics side, the difference will be in the first year and a slight difference in the second year. So in the first year, statistics students will have to take 2 computer science courses. And in the second year, instead of Math 2100, which is the algebra course that the math students have to take, statistics students can replace that with a third-year linear algebra plus another math course that is on the list. So there's a bit of flexibility in the second year for statistics students. So there's an overview of the core courses for the programs. There are other specializations and concentrations that have specific electives in first and second year, and those you can find that in the university calendar. And now we can switch over to your questions, and I would like to introduce my colleague, Maria De Rosa, and Wayne Horn is also with me. He is a statistician in the School of Mathematics and Statistics.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, I'm Maria De Rosa, and I'm an Associate Dean in the Faculty of Science. So I'm inviting everyone to go ahead and post some questions into the live Q&A, and I'll be reading some select questions off to Kevin to see if we can get the answers that you need. So I had some that were from the general session, so I can ask you a few questions even before anything pops up. So what are the job prospects for people with a degree in mathematics or statistics?
Well, that's a very good question. It's a very common question. As you know, mathematics degree is not a professional degree, so your options are actually quite open. Many of our students have gone on to work in the government, in industry, and also in research. And we have a list of jobs that people have held, and it's also listed in the slide that we saw earlier. So there are many different options, definitely, and it would depend on your interest and on your career goals. So it can range from a research mathematician, statistician, or to a manager of a company.
Excellent. And I know that the Science Student Success Centers can help with people with their career planning. Okay, what about co-op? How does the co-op program work for math and stats?
So co-op is basically handled by the co-op office, but all our honors programs have the co-op option. So usually co-op begins after the second year of study, and you can work with the co-op office to find positions. So we do have a number of co-op students this term, and finding job depends, of course, on a few things. You have to go through the interview process, you have to write up your resume, and you have to look at job postings, which are usually found in the co-op webpage. So you can find in one place all the jobs that are available for you to apply. and you send your resume, you will get contacted hopefully to set up an interview, and then it goes from there.
Great. And what sort of co-op placements have you seen in the past?
So let's say for statistics students, we have seen them in like government agencies like StatsCan, Health Canada, Environment Canada. There's lots of high-tech companies also have employed our students for co-op. Bank of Canada as well, we have seen at least a few. So there are lots of opportunities in the capital region. Because we are in the heart of the capital, there are many government agencies who are willing to hire co-op students, as well as there's a very vibrant high-tech industry here that need people with quantitative skills.
That sounds perfect. That sounds really exciting, actually. Okay, here's one. What courses should I take in first year?
Yeah, so I went over that a bit early on. So in the first year, you don't really have much choice when it comes to math courses. You have to take 2 calculus courses during the first year and 2 algebra courses and 1 in mathematical reasoning. And that's all the courses in math that you take in first year. The rest depend on your specialization. So if you don't have a specialization, basically you have room for electives, a lot of electives. So there are elective requirements in science and in humanities as well. So you can fulfill those if you don't have to take, say, computer science courses.
Okay, great. This is a good question. This is a big question, I think, on a lot of people's minds. What kind of help is available for students in the mathematics and statistics programs?
So there are a number of things that have been created over the years to support students. So the most recent creation is the Learning Assistance Program. Basically, we have a full-time staff in charge of basically helping students succeed. And we also have the Math Tutorial Center and the Math Society, which is student-run, also support each other. So if you're a member, you can walk in and you can ask for help. So there are lots of things that are available, and in addition to what is provided by the professor and the teaching assistants.
That's great. And this question popped up, and I think, given the current situation and the uncertainty with everything that's been going on with high school students finishing up their year, what do you suggest for students who feel like, they might be at a disadvantage because their math course wasn't finished in class, they had to move to online, maybe they're just not feeling that they got all the math that they needed to be successful in your program? What would you suggest for them?
Well, there are at least a couple of options. One is something that we offer here. Every year before the fall term, we run a program called Math Matters. It's a 1-week program. Basically, it's a high school math refresher. So in a week, you get to refresh all your math knowledge so that you'll be ready for the first year courses. And if that is not something that you would like to do, well, there are lots of websites that offer, let's say, pre-calculus resources. And Khan Academy, for example, is something that many of my students have made use of even after they graduated from high school. So it's not like if you didn't learn it in school because of the disruption that you won't be able to learn the material. There are lots of opportunities for you to pick that up along the way. And also, basically, the first week or two of classes has a lot of elements that are review of high school grade 12 mathematics. So obviously, if you miss a big chunk of grade 12, those first 2 weeks will feel very fast if you've never seen those things before. But it's not like we assume that you are a master of everything from grade 12 and plunge right ahead into the new material. So there is some a ramp up time.
That sounds perfect. That's really good advice. And there's all the other resources that you mentioned, like the Math Tutorial Center and the assistance program that can help as well, I assume.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Okay. I have a question that again popped up at the last session. Are there any research opportunities for undergraduate students in math and stats?
There are a few types of research opportunities, depending on basically on the professor's availability. So and funding situation. I know that the deans, the Faculty of Science, the dean of the Faculty of Science, has a first year summer research program. So usually, summer research program is for students who has finished second year or higher. But in the Faculty of Science, there is this so-called DSRI, Dean Summer Research Internship, that is available for competition. So it will take place in the summer after the first year of study. Now in upper years, well, if you have a good academic record, you can apply for NSERC summer research assistantship. So the NSERC is a funding agency, one of the funding agencies of the federal government, and it will provide funding to hire students to do research with a professor. And the third option is you can just talk to a professor, say you want to do something during the fall term, right, while you are studying. So that kind of thing can be arranged if the professor knows you well, and if there's a project that the professor thinks you can work on. So that is actually quite common. I have supervised at least a couple of students like that myself. That is not during the summer. So there are definitely opportunities.
No, that's great. And I can speak directly to the Dean Summer Research Internship because that's part of what I do in the Dean's office. And I know that there are quite a few math students who are eligible for this internship after their first year, and they use it to full advantage. So it's a great opportunity for math students, I know. And just speaking about you taking on research students, what advice would you give to students about approaching a professor to talk to them about this sort of thing? I think students have the misconception that professors are very difficult to talk to. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't seem very approachable, but that's not always the case. Actually, many professors many of my colleagues, and including myself, like to speak with students, and we enjoy talking to students who are keen in learning more mathematics and statistics. So the best way is to talk to a professor that is teaching one of your courses or has taught one of the courses, because they will know you and you know them, and you can just start by looking at the professor's research profile, which is public on their webpage, and see if there's anything that interests you. And if you find a topic, say if you find someone who is doing optimization, and that's just something that you want to learn more about and hopefully do some research in, you can set up an appointment. Just email the professor, or when next time you go to the office hour, you can just start talking. Sometimes you never know. Maybe a project is already somewhere in the back of the mind of the professor, and maybe you will be the person who happens to get the opportunity. So the key is get to know the professor, right? Learn about their research, read their homepage, or maybe even read some of their papers. You might not understand everything, but that's okay. You just want the gist of what they do. And once you have something that you can talk about, you just set up an appointment with the professor and see if something can be worked out. Maybe the professor will recommend you to apply for, say, a summer research program. Then you will get a letter from the professor, which is very important, because for applying to these awards, not only you have to have good academic record, you also need good reference letters. And if the professor can write something specific about you, that will really help your application.
I agree with that, actually. That's great advice. Go and get to know your professors. And I think in math, you have a great opportunity because I know that the students get to have a lot of interaction with the profs. So I think this is a great chance for students to get to know the profs and vice versa. And they can then give you really good reference letters. This is good advice.
Yeah, so one of the advantages about Carleton Math is we're kind of small. In the first year, we have about 80 first-year students. So we basically can know everybody, right? 80 is not that big a number. And so it's not like you walk into a lecture hall with another 500 students and nobody knows you. It's not like that. And chances are, the learning assistant coordinator, the name is Kyle Harvey, will know you as well because he keeps track of all the first-year students, making sure that they are doing fine. So in the first year, you're well supported. The professors know you, and when you go on to upper year courses, the classes can be just as big as a dozen, like 12, 15 people. So it's very easy to get direct interaction with professors.
Well, that's great. And I think you already mentioned a little bit about the student society. The student society is quite active as well, so this makes for a great community.
Yes, they have a lot of events throughout the year. I think they usually start off with a barbecue. I'm not sure about this year with the fall term, how much on-campus activities is still up in the air. But if if things are opening up, you can expect things like barbecue, breakfast, talks, invited talks. They also have career information nights. So sometimes they will invite a previous graduate of Carleton BMath program to talk about BMath and careers. And if you're interested in knowing about job prospects, that's a golden opportunity, right? Because these people went through the program, like you'll be, and they are working, so they know exactly what you need to prepare for.
That's fantastic. Okay, that's great. So that's it for me for pulling questions. But if you want to add anything and some final words for all our listeners, that would be great. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Well, thank you. Well, I wish you a safe summer, and I hope to see you, whether in person or virtually, in the fall term.